Continuing to look at the garden at the worst time of year when things are still kind of brown. However, we've got some phlox starting to bloom. I want to look at 3 areas of retaining wall on our property. The first is the area by the front door. This was an area that previously was just one wall and then back up, and we've since really laid it to terrace it back so it is a little bit more gradual, and there's some soft planting area down by the edge of the driveway. Mostly reusing the same stone in place, but also supplementing it with a nearby farm field stone pick area that we have access to. The other area is by the side yard along the edge of the driveway. This was done early last year, a bit more hasty, but it illustrates a couple points from the grade change from the bottom of the driveway about here up to about the air conditioner is about 4.5–5 feet. That can make some definite challenges when you're working with a retaining wall, because if you've got one level, starts to have a lot of pressure building behind it, starts to end up being a lot of groundwater and a lot of water pressing back into it, and also you end up with building issues and geogrid and segmental wall engineers and all sorts of fun stuff that you get into, and having a shear drop off depending on what municipality you're in. You end up with zoning and permitting issues. But one way that's nice to kind of alleviate that and still work with the natural product is you'll notice that from each section kind of steps up. So you'll run up, step, run up, step, run up, step. So essentially we've got about a 45-degree angle from the top down to the bottom, and none of the walls go above 24 inches in this area. So we're able to step back and hold it in place, and then still let the wall do its thing and retain areas as we go. You'll notice, this is probably a good way to see it, that the wall is not vertical. Step back here, and that's called the batter. The batter allows it to sort of hold itself in place and allow it to, as pressure goes back into it, helps resist that. There's also a lot of gravel underneath each layer, so the whole thing drains through pretty well. One other thing to look at behind our cat is when you look at the stone itself, you typically don't see a lot of seams vertically running through the material. You'll see that there's a lot of courses in between, but that they step back in place, and you don't have any vertical seams, which would be places where the wall would start to push out if it got too much groundwater to it. The last area to look at is this new area by our vegetable garden. This was done late last year. We don't often mortar walls in place, especially with dry laid, but in this case it helped us with strength, and it also helped us with leveling some irregular and odd stones. We're holding back a pretty big area on this corner with a vegetable garden. So in the area that's visible, we use some reclaimed stone, both from a road outcropping, a road clearing that was done recently, as well as some farm field stone. Then on the other side of this boxwood, we don't typically like to use concrete walls just for the appearance and the look of it, but that material was here on site, so we were able to pull down some other walls where it wasn't necessarily working for us and reuse it here. So in the back, we were able to relay that material, and we didn't really care necessarily what it looked like as much. We were more interested in seeing the other walls and the other stone walls in these areas that were more visible. So that's a little bit of our view of the retaining walls over at our property.